Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Skyrise, your early morning show where we talk all things gaming. I'm your host, Skytune, and here's the breakdown for today. Instead of the Twitch top 5, which is basically where I show the top 5 clips of the week from the Twitch streams, we're going to do something a little bit different this week. And there is a method to my madness. However, you're not going to figure it out until, let's say like early to mid-June. We're going to start with a story time about the pre-order line to get a Nintendo Switch 2, play Poke Pools, talk about the new Pokemon TCG Pocket update, what I'm playing, a familiar face showing up at Super Nintendo World, character conundrum, questions from Patreon supporters, and shoutouts. So let's get it. So a few days ago on Thursday, the pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 opened, and my plan was to get up, go to GameStop, wait in line, try to be first in line or somewhere near the front of it so I could get everything I was looking for and be good to go. However, that didn't exactly end up happening the way that I planned. So on Thursday, I woke up at like 7:45 in the morning, something like that. Got to GameStop by around 8:30 in the morning. And when I drove up, there were all these cars there. And suddenly I'm like, oh shoot. Now, keep in mind, GameStop opened at 11 in the morning and I was there at 8:30. So I thought that I was going to be good, that there was going to be no line, no problems, maybe like 2 or 3 people, who cares. I was number 18th. 18th! I truly thought that showing up at 8:30 would be completely fine, but clearly not. So, you know, here I am, 18th in line. I go up to the door, and on the door it says that they have 20 normal Nintendo Switch 2s, and then, like, I think it was 38. Yep, I just fact-checked that. 38 Mario Kart bundle Nintendo Switch 2s. So because I was number 18 in line and there were 20 normal Switches and everybody was only able to get one, obviously I was good. That was secure. So I wasn't worried about the console, and I really wasn't worried about the game either. What I was worried about was the accessories and amiibo. And the manager or boss, or I don't know, he looked very official. He came out of the store and was going down the line and telling everybody some information. What he said was that both the accessories and the amiibo are extremely limited, but not necessarily the games or the consoles. He did say, like, obviously, let's say there's like 40 people in line behind me, which I think by the time I got inside, that was actually the case. There were people that showed up at like 11:15, and I highly doubt that there was anything left. It was kind of first come, first serve. So what this big GameStop person said is that specifically the Pro controllers, there was only 5. That's it. 5! And I was number 18th. So I'm over here for the next 2 hours just like trying to cope with the fact that my video is ruined. How am I gonna get all these accessories so I can make an awesome unboxing for everybody? What am I gonna do? All these websites online are sold out. Oh, I'm freaking out. So I'm thinking about that. I'm talking to other gamers about announcements that Nintendo's had, and it was a good time, but I was also like set for the mission. I was there for a reason. So everybody at 11 a.m. started to go in 2 by 2, and eventually it was my turn. I think it took like 20 minutes for it to actually be my turn. So I went inside and I said, can I please have the normal Switch 2 bundle and then the physical version of Mario Kart World? And they said yes. So that was good. And then I was like bracing for the worst. I said, do you have any Pro controllers left? And they said, yeah, we do. I said, what? Seriously? And to my surprise, Yes, so that means that the majority of all the 17 people in line ahead of me did not get a Pro Controller. Like, how can you turn something like that down? Maybe they saw the price and was like, oh, never mind. But, yeah, I was able to get a Pro Controller, so that is something checked off the list. And then, Amiibo, right? So, I said, okay, alright, I don't think this is gonna happen. I was a little bit hopeful because there was one person, a few people ahead of me, that GameStop person that was like going and telling all the information, he said to that customer, oh, you're the first person that's asked about Amiibo. So that got me thinking, maybe, just maybe, I'll get lucky here. When I got there and I asked in the moment, okay, what about one of each Amiibo figure? They said, oh yeah, we have all 6. And me, who, I know my stuff, trust me, I make these videos every Sunday. I said, 6? They said, yeah, we got the 3 Street Fighter 6 Amiibo, and we got the 3 Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Sage Amiibo. And I said, there's supposed to be 7. There's like just one more Zelda one. So what happened? And they said, oh yeah, Yunobo? Yeah, he's in our system, but we never actually got him. And some reason. I did my research a little bit later, and that is actually true, that nobody, no retailer, not even just in the USA, but like everywhere, it's almost as if Nintendo decided, you know what, we can wait on Yunobo a little bit. So, I don't know. I really have no idea. I'm still gonna try to get him for the unboxing video, but if I can't, then it's okay. Like, I got a lot of stuff. I'm excited for everybody to see the video on June 5th. I didn't even think I was gonna be able to get anything other than the console and the video game, the Mario Kart game. So I'd say it's a success. I'm just excited that you guys get some sort of video on launch day, and that, you know, the day of I can start streaming Mario Kart World immediately. So I'm happy. I got home and hours later I was still smiling and still like kind of shocked, honestly, that it worked out like that. But that's my pre-order line story. I haven't waited in line for a pre-order for a very long time. It's very interesting because when I got the original Switch, there was the whole presentation on YouTube, and then my mom and I went into GameStop together like maybe a few days later, and it was just a normal day. They didn't really have many customers, and we ordered the Nintendo Switch, and that's it. So I don't fully understand why this time was so much more complicated. Maybe just because, you know, it's 2025, it's not 2017 anymore. We had the pandemic. I don't know what the case is. I was told that it could have been due to the fact that they were getting out of the Wii U era and into the Switch era, and a lot of people didn't really care at that time, and now that the Switch has been a huge success for 8 years, people were like, oh cool, Switch 2, I'm immediately gonna get that. Maybe that was it, but I don't know. I really hope that everybody got as lucky as I did. If not, just keep checking online, keep checking websites, don't stop. But I am curious, let me know in the comments if you pre-ordered the Nintendo Switch 2, and if you did, what was your pre-order story? Because I'm sure I'm going to have another story from launch night, but obviously that hasn't happened yet. Next, we have some info about Pokemon TCG Pocket's update, but first, I say we open a pack. This is Poke Pools. Last week, nobody commented, so I'm going to choose Triumphant Light, but comment which pack we open next week. Let's spin it a little bit, and stop. Alright, slice and dice. We got Azumarill, Snorunt, Pikachu, Irida, and yo! Oh my gosh, and it's new, let's go! We got a Glaceon EX. Oh my gosh, Alright, so now that we've opened a pack, and it was a very successful pack, I might add, let's talk about the Pokemon TCG Pocket update. So, on April 30th, we're going to be getting an update called Celestial Guardians, and it'll bring over 200 brand new cards featuring Pokemon found in the Alola region from Sun and Moon. I feel like they released these way too quickly. I can't even keep up. There's so many cards that by the time they release a new pack, within an update, I don't even get a chance to get all the cards. Does anybody else feel that way? I'm sure it'll be a great update, but we gotta move on to what I've been playing. I'm still making my way through Elden Ring, and I went on an absolute shopping spree frenzy. I obtained over 54 million runes and went from level 200 all the way to level 300. Why? I'm not really sure, but I'm hoping it makes getting through enemies easier. It won't. I also finished this horror game that I wouldn't recommend. It was called Karma: The Dark World, and it's extremely difficult to understand. At least in my opinion. Something about being a worker whose job was to live through somebody else's life, and that person's day job was to dig through other people's memories. And then there was a sister who had powers that the government was trying to steal, and when you got caught up with the sister, she knows that you aren't her brother, but leads you to her brother who's old as heck, and then it's revealed that her brother's been dead for years. Just don't play the game unless you want to have like a mental breakdown. But stay tuned for more of what I'm playing next week, and hopefully I'll start a much better horror game this upcoming Monday on Twitch. In other news, there's been a familiar face spotted at Super Nintendo World, and that would be none other than Yoshi. This fun friend is the newest mascot that'll be hanging around the theme park. So far, we've seen mascots of Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Toad, Donkey Kong, and now Yoshi. So I wonder who could be next. This episode is being done in such a different order than I usually do that I almost forgot about Character Conundrum. Be among the first 3 people to guess the character correctly and win a shoutout. Our winner from last week was Whiplash, who said Bowser Jr. For this week, here's your hints. This character knows a thing or 3 about blades. They even get stabbed through the heart by one. And they have 3 wives. Who could this player be? Because, that's not right. Loyalty. Comment down below who you think the character is, and find out next week. There's no questions from Patreon supporters this week, but stay tuned for next week, because it'll be quite the episode. I have something pretty big up my sleeve. Before the Skyrise comes to a close, we need to shout out our solar superstars. They're the backbone of this whole operation, and I couldn't make these weekly videos without them. So here's a huge shout out to Ollie, Hi I Am Alive, and Poyo. Of course, we can't forget about our elevated heroes, Meep and Matthew 2EK. I do still have a very exciting early access video to Patreon supporters tiers 2 and up. So if you'd like to give it a watch before anybody else does, be sure to click the Patreon link in the description below and go check it out. It is only $3 a month, and it is cheaper than a Twitch sub, and you get a bunch of other benefits too. It's just a further way to support me and keep this show going. If you enjoyed episode 16 of the Skyrise, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share the video with some friends too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.